The wheels on Paul's bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. Hi everybody, welcome back to Fan Fridays. I am your host, Aman, along with Reality Recaps, and we are here to talk about Big Brother 19 and all of its crazy shenanigans. So let's get on into it. So, we had to say goodbye to Mark last Thursday, as the second half of the Marlena Alliance, and who should be next on the chopping block? Obviously Maven, right? So we head into this next HOH competition where, I'm sure much to Alex's chagrin, the contestants have to hang from these hot dog buns, posing as the wiener. Good old-fashioned endurance comp where they were flinging relish, flinging ketchup, flinging mustard. I always wondered, is that actually what they say it is, or is it like thick water mixed with food coloring? Who knows? Anyways, Matt is useless, he falls. Kevin hardly ever wins anything, he falls. Christmas, of course, can't compete. I don't know why she's still there! We eventually make our way down to Paul, Raven, Alex, and Jason. And as per usual, a bit of begging ensues from Raven. I just want a letter from my mom. Gastroparesis this, gastroparesis that. But they're not having it. They're not having it. Alex and Jason need to be HOH because the clear target is Matt or Raven. So, of course, Paul doesn't need, he doesn't feel the need to be HOH, so he, of course, throws the competition. He makes it seem like his beard is too heavy or something and then falls face forward. That's pretty much how this HOH pans out, right? But the thing that irritated me the most, and I tweeted about this the night of, Matt yelling at Alex and Jason because the two of them were trying to figure out who was going to be HOH, the fact that he felt like he was entitled enough to say to them, just make the decision, one of you fall, what are we out here doing, I want to go back inside to my chunky puffs. You don't have any right to talk. All of your rights, they don't exist. I mean, good God, where, under what rock? Under what rock did they find this man? Eventually, Alex gives in, Jason becomes the new HOH, and that's when Matt and Raven start to feel a little antsy. Not so much that Thursday night, but Matt he had a few remarks saying, you know what, Raven, I think we might be in trouble. Wow. So Paul's posse, they begin to, go back and forth about which one they should get rid of. Everyone really seems to be leaning towards Matt. I mean, they're both useless. Let's be real. They're both useless as all hell. But I mean, Raven, she's not going to win anything, let alone $500,000 if she sits next to someone in the final two. So they ultimately decide to go ahead and evict Matt. Jason throws Matt and Raven up there. Matt and Raven still think that there's a chance for one of them to come down because of the fact that Jason, after the nomination ceremony, went and whispered in Raven's ear, "Don't worry, we're going to pull one of you off." Oh. What a grave mistake and glorious mistake that was. Moving on to the veto competition, and this is actually one of my favorite veto comps ever, although I know that if I ever play Big Brother, the cleanup afterwards would be so infuriating. It's the comp where each person gets a veto card, everybody has to choose a place in under 2 minutes to hide it in the house, and then everyone will go in and try and find everyone's the person who doesn't get theirs found, and they end up winning the veto. Jason hides his in the couch, Josh hides his in the freezer, Paul hides his in some clothes, Matt hides his in a sofa cushion, or was it the pillowcase? I don't remember. They all chose, a wide range of places to hide the veto. I personally thought Paul's was the best. I think that had he maybe thought a little bit more about how people were going to be throwing things around and that those clothes in the closet would have been thrown out of there, he probably could have won that. But I think his was probably the best spot. Who would have known that someone hiding the veto card inside a cushion would be the place to win? Who would have thought that? And the thing is, someone opened the very cushion that Jason held, that hid his in, but I guess they just didn't reach their arm down in there long enough. So Jason ends up winning the veto. The funny thing is, Raven ends up being the one to take Matt out of the competition. Oh, what poetic justice. But it's all good still. The two of them still are under the impression that Jason is going to take one of them off the block. Then they're going to replace that person with Kevin. And then when they all come together during the eviction ceremony, they're all going to say Kevin's name and Kevin's going to walk right out that door. It's going to happen. Don't worry. It's going to happen. I swear on my last bowl of Special K is gonna happen. So we get to the veto ceremony. And, you know, Jason, bless his soul, you know, he's not the most, I mean, I think that he's a fairly intelligent man. He's just not the most eloquent person, which is so weird because you are an auctioneer. Does anybody remember that? I mean, rodeo clowning aside, this man knows how to talk. He speaks as an auctioneer. So the fact that he always fumbles over his words is one of the most mind-boggling things ever. Anyways, we get to the veto ceremony. Jason has this long drawn-out speech, but ultimately he decides not, and I repeat, not to use the power of veto. And so Raven's face gets flushed, almost matching the pigment of her hair extensions. Matt, the caveman, finally wakes up out of hibernation. And total chaos ensues afterwards. So Jason and Alex decide to go and decompress and get their story straight, try and decide what they're going to tell Maven once they get out of there. And that ends up being the worst decision ever. It ends up being a cardinal sin because Matt begins to stew. And the great thing is when Jason finally emerges from his crypt and goes over to them, Matt's like, you know, I'm not gonna yell. I'm not gonna yell at you. I just understand why can't you just face the music? Why can't you just not be a little bitch? You are a bitch! You know? God bless, I don't know if anybody saw this on Twitter, but God bless whoever the account was that put that Snapchat filter over Raven's face. Oh my God, it made it even all the much better. I loved it. I mean, Matt sounded like he was Alvin and all of the chipmunks pissed off, as if you owed them money. Like, I mean, where in all of the world did that come from? I mean, I feel like even Matt's mother must have been watching that and was like, this is not my child. I have never seen this much passion. Anyways, he's, you know, baiting Jason into an argument, saying all these inflammatory things, calling him a bitch, saying, I can't wait till your wife sees this, can't wait till your son sees all this stuff, you know. Jason is, you know, surprisingly, he doesn't really lose it. He's doing his best to try and make them understand that he wasn't trying to hide in the storage room and that he just wasn't going to honor the request. He didn't want to go with the house. And I believe him when he says that he does not remember telling Raven that. Because I think that Jason says a lot of things. Jason puts his foot in his mouth constantly. And I honestly believe that he did not remember telling Raven that he was going to pull one of them off. Raven doesn't believe it, of course. Matt doesn't believe it. He likes to blame it all on the fact that he's in the storage room being a bitch. But we all know that Matt is clearly pressed that he can no longer be in that house and waste his life away. The fight, you know, eventually bubbles over into this awkward silence. People start to filter out of the kitchen. Matt goes outside, followed by Kevin, who takes this opportunity to tell Kevin, maybe for the umpteenth time, that it was not him that voted for him to leave the house last week, to which everyone else in the kitchen saw was occurring. Paul goes outside. He wants to get in on the action, make sure that Kevin's not telling Matt any bullshit. And of course, that turns up to be the beginnings of another argument. Paul is on to the fact that Kevin seems to be very nice to all the people that are heading out towards jury. He tells this to Josh. What does Josh do? He takes the bait and begins to have an argument with Kevin. I don't know what would possess someone to get into an argument with a 56-year-old man from Boston who clearly has seen some stuff in his days on this earth. I wouldn't want to mess with somebody like that, even in the game of Big Brother, where, you know, you might feel safer. But do what you gotta do, Josh. And the most petty thing about this was that Josh, you know, got into the argument by waiting for Christmas to take offense to Kevin asking her if she was going to go swimming after he was just being, you know, polite and responding to her question about whether or not he was going to go swimming. I mean, what are we dealing with here? Anyways, I got to watch this live on the feeds, and Josh and Kevin go at it, and it eventually ends in the feeds being down for like an hour or so. Everybody was speculating as to whether or not Kevin may have actually hit Josh with that glass bottle and got evacuated from the house. But The feeds came back. Obviously, as you saw in the episode last night, that did not happen. Everything cooled off. But it was clear that Kevin is now the target that everyone wants to pursue next week. We also get to see the jury house this episode. And, you know, I was very excited. I mean, I love watching people get filtered out of the game and how they respond to no longer being in that environment and being able to see the game from a distance. I really enjoy this part of the season. But I don't know, maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh, but I feel like it was a bit lackluster. I mean, obviously we had Cody in there, and Cody's he's not going to give you passion. Cody's not going to give you, he's not going to give you drama. But it was a little weird. Like the dynamic between Elena and Cody was awkward. And even when Mark finally showed up, it was still a little, it was like, we've been telling these players this for so long, and everybody, with the exception of, you know, Jessica and Cody, seem to really be onto the fact that Paul has been orchestrating this house to a T. So it's not even that satisfying watching them realize it now. It's more like, bitch, we told you so. I do think that it's going to be a very bitter jury. I second that opinion. I've seen that coming up a lot on my Twitter feed, and I think that, sure, it was a little docile because of the fact there's a showmance in the house now. But I do expect it to get a little bit more rocky when people start getting out of that house, especially if Alex and Jason end up on that block this week. Well, because of the fact that this makes me absolutely sick to my stomach and just proves to me just how much Paul really deserves to win this game, I'm only going to mention the fact that they did the Ready, Set, Whoa competition, which is the one where they stand in the racing position and can't lift their fingers off the button until they get prompted to. Let's just talk about how someone on a freaking scooter won that comp. Because nobody in this house has the balls to think for themselves. Honestly, it's gonna be such trash watching them edit that into Sunday's episode. I mean, I've been hearing rumors that they didn't even finish not one damn leg of the race. So it was like, usually the HOH takes up, I don't know, maybe like a good 20 minutes of the episode. How is it going to even do that on Sunday? It's going to be like 5 minutes, if that. Oh, Jesus, help your children. But anyways, I expect this week to be second verse, same as the first. You know, just replace Matt and Raven with Alex and Jason. Kevin is still the supposed pawn, but it's going to be a rude awakening when that veto is not used if Alex and Jason are not the winners of it and they remain on the block and one of them goes home. I would personally love to see Alex go home. I'm not the biggest fan of hers. But, you know, she's also one of the only people that could beat Paul. So then there's, like, you know, it's a bit of a catch-22. But honestly, you know, as I stated last week, Paul is the only one that really deserves to win. And it just seems like we're at a march to the death at this point, waiting for it to happen. Anyways, I feel like this one was quick because they're just... there's just really not too much going on in the house right now. But, you know, I hope everyone has a great weekend. Don't spend too much time on the feeds, you know. I mean, it's, unless you're into the fights and the drama and the Paulness of it all. But everyone have a great Labor Day weekend, and I will see you all next week.